Good evening everybody and welcome to the final event of our virtual Open Week. Here I am live in our new sixth form centre, which normal times would be full of our sixth form students, social distance of course, but this evening I'm joined by a smaller group of people, our three deputy heads. On my right here, Lee Richardson, the senior deputy head, Nick Axon, our deputy head academic, and Susan James, our deputy head pupil welfare. And we're here tonight to answer all of those great questions which you've sent in during the course of the past week. So hopefully we can finish off this whirlwind virtual tour of CHS by answering the questions that you really want to know the answers to. But before that, I'd like you to watch this.
Well, I got lost a few times in the first week, but once you know the layout of the school, it just becomes natural to find out where you're going.
A few people from my primary school were coming, but I was aiming to make new friends. That's always the best part of starting a new school. You're always going to have so many more new friends, completely different people, all different characters and personalities. And it was just really exciting. And it was just a big change, but still I was very excited.
They're really kind and really supportive, and you always feel like you can talk to them if you have any issues, and they'll always listen to your opinion.
The teachers try putting a lot of effort with all the kids and setting all the things on Google Classroom, so if you're not in school it's really helpful. You can make sure you get your work in still and you're not getting caught behind, so I think that's really important.
This is my 20th year of teaching, and it's always for me been getting a relationship with them in terms of your personality and the student. And if they can enjoy just coming to the classroom, even if they don't think they like maths, if they can enjoy coming to the classroom, they know that it's going to be supportive, they know it's okay to be wrong, etc., etc. Then all of a sudden the student will buy in more to what it is that us as teachers are trying to tell them about. So play some games, make it more interesting, make it more real. Anything like that is just going to make them think, oh, hang on a minute, maybe it is worth learning this. And then once you've got the buy-in, we can do more of the boring stuff and make it more interesting.
You get quite a bit more than you do in year 7, but not in primary school, but it's not too much that you can't handle. And if you're feeling like it's too much, you can mention it to your teacher and I'm sure they'll be happy to adjust it.
I would say it's not an overwhelming amount. It's good that you further in the work that you've done in class, but it's not too much that you can't handle it.
Probably either English or art, because they're always really fun. All the other subjects are great, but they're my personal favourites.
So I've actually just this morning done a library induction with the new Year 7s, which is introducing them to a new library system, a new way of borrowing books and reading in their spare time. And we really like to push reading in the spare time, particularly at Year 7, just because it's vital for improving in English. We also started reading a classic with Year 7 as soon as they come in, just to give them that challenge straight away while scaffolding the activities accordingly with their previous experience in mind.
The food is one of the best things. It's you get cold lunch or grab and go if you're going for a club, and even that's really good just for a quick and easy run off to your club. But the hot lunch is really good to sit with your friends and have a really nice meal and a dessert.
It's amazing. I don't think there's ever been a day where I've not enjoyed my food, and you have to work out which lunch people give the most portions.
I think just the diversity, if that's right, the amount of things they've got going for everyone. There's always something for everyone, from Go Club to football, climbing. I remember in juniors you got to do kayaking club, which was just amazing.
I mean, it's more what things can't they do, because there's an insane list of things that they can do, whether that's sport, whether that's art, whether that's singing and dancing, whether that's cultural, you name it, there's something they can do. And the best thing is, if it's not there, they can do it. They can just create it. They can be part of it. Find a teacher that wants to start it. Let's go. Let's start a club. Let's start something new. I think it's literally unlimited. And as a form teacher, we say to the students, if there's not something you want to do and you really fancy it, just make it happen.
For me, I think the best thing about teaching CHS is the opportunities that are given to both staff and students. For example, I was lucky enough to go to America with the sixth form last year, and we did a literary tour around Boston, which was so exciting for them, but also a really rewarding experience for me. Wow.
I joined hockey and netball when I moved to the school, and I've really enjoyed that, and I've not stopped ever since I moved here.
So we have loads of opportunities. In the English department, we work really closely with the library, who run book clubs for every single year group. We also run extracurricular activities, like for example in year 8, students are all invited to participate in the Great Green Debate, where they learn in lessons about environmental issues, and then they're encouraged in their lunch times and outside of class to attend the debate sessions, and they learn debate skills, and then eventually leading to a final debate, which really rallies their competitive spirit and is really successful.
It's just a really sociable and friendly environment, and you never feel like you're not welcome, and everyone just tries to make you feel like you're in just an amazing environment, which you are.
From the kids right through to the senior leadership team, everyone's just friendly, everyone's nice, everyone's really helpful. The kids are great. You don't have to kind of worry about the tiny little things as a teacher. You can just get on, plan your lessons and teach it, and the kids want to learn. And if you've got any questions, somebody's there to help you as well as a teacher. It's great.
I would say the best thing is the community and who you're surrounded by, because it always feels like you've got support and there's always someone to talk to if you need advice or help.
Aspects of life at CHS, so I'm going to get right into them now and pose the first question to Nick. The question here is that the school has impressive exam results. Does every child take the exam under CHS, or do some children who may not be expected to get a high grade be examined under a different organisation?
Okay. So we're starting with the exam results, the important bit at the end of the process. So, I mean, in short, everybody does do the public exams at CHS in year 11 to sit the GCSEs, and then in the sixth form we do A-level pre-U, and we also offer BTEC sport. And we think everyone here does have the potential to succeed in the national exams. So we do have everyone through that process. We think it's the best thing for our students. Obviously, it's the passport to the next stage in their education or career. So we think it's in their best interests, and I think the results reflect it, both at year 11 and at year 13. I suppose there's two important caveats and two things to say around that about flexibility. So the first thing really is we would look at the individual to work out a programme of study at that level, which is the best thing for them. So at GCSE, that could mean that a particular student does one subject fewer. It may mean that they do one subject more if they have a particular niche interest that we can provide for. And certainly in the sixth form, outside the standard curriculum, there's tons of public exams we offer, with the Arts Award, with Core Maths, with the Extended Project Qualification, all of which are outside the kind of standard offer. And then the second thing I'd probably say on the subject of exams as well is that we do keep up to speed with what's happening nationally in terms of exams. So I know that we were talking earlier about Rethinking Assessments, which is this group set up by Kenneth Baker, former Education Secretary, who invented GCSEs, I think, and they're looking at alternatives to or abolishing and campaigning to abolish GCSEs. And whilst that isn't something in our plan, we want to be abreast of that to see what they're offering. And certainly my experience in the summer, there was obviously no national GCSEs this summer, was really positive because we replaced it with a transition to sixth form curriculum where our year 11 pupils got to work remotely with their teachers in their sixth form subjects, and it was just a tremendous experience. I really enjoyed working in my subject in politics with the pupils for the next term, and it was certainly far more enjoyable than doing GCSEs, and I think they actually developed lots of skills that they might not have done by doing the examination. So we will keep up with that and we'll stay abreast of it and make decisions best for our pupils, but yes, we do indeed do the public exams.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because at the moment there seems to be a really clear and strong measure to colleges, to universities and to parents about actually what a child can actually achieve. But I think one of the key things is, as you said, that we keep abreast of all those changes nationally in terms of education as well. Now, you mentioned something there about the Arts Award, and one of the questions that also came in was, how do we support children who perhaps are more suited to creative art, self-expression, as opposed to, if you like, the straightforward classroom-based academic subjects?
Well, so the Arts Award is in the sixth form, so for most people watching this, that's some way off, I suppose. So I think there's three ways, really. The first is through a broad curriculum in the lower school in which pupils get to do a huge range of subjects. So they will get to do art, they will get to do music, they will get to do drama, they will get to do food, all taught by specialist teachers. So that's part of the core curriculum. And secondly, through creativity being part of all the subjects that happen in the lower school. So we have what we call our thinking skills curriculum, which is a series of skills really that we base a lot of what we do in the lower school, and creativity, is one of them, alongside analysing, evaluating, problem solving and independent inquiry, but creativity is that. And then thirdly, just by the volume of co-curricular activities that we offer in all year groups, and if you're a musician, you might get to play at the Royal Northern College of Music. If you're an artist, we're the only school to exhibit at the Manchester Art Fair. In drama, there's huge productions every year, and there's lots of layers below that as well for people who might not have all of the ability but want to get stuck in. So whilst we wouldn't, create a kind of a separate curriculum for someone who's creative, it's there in all of what we do.
Okay, thank you. So I suppose building on that then, Lee, how do you think we go about assessing and supporting a child's individuality and learning style?
Well, I think the key thing here is to focus on the concept of metacognition. I don't know if some parents will have come across that and some won't have done. Metacognition simply means learning how we learn, and for young people to realise how the brain works, how their brain works, how learning works, and how different types of learning work. And we put a huge amount of emphasis on that, and for pupils to understand themselves what works for them in particular situations, particularly if you're revising for an exam. Some students will find one particular technique works, and another particular technique doesn't work so well. And we've developed our own website called the Retty Learning, which is all about how the brain works and how learning works and how effective learning can happen, and how students can reflect and can refine their own learning style in order to do that. The other probably thing to say is that this learning style idea came into vogue in education probably about 20 years ago, and the idea that some students learn really well through kinesthetic learning, or experiential learning, or whatever it might be. And there's no doubt some great validity in that, but I think it's gone out of vogue again a little bit because the feeling was that if you felt, for example, I'm a kinesthetic learner, great, but you can't kinesthetically learn for your entire life, and it's not going to work necessarily in university, it's not going to work necessarily in the vocation that you go into. So what we do is we provide in lessons a very wide range of learning activities. Some of those activities will suit some students better than others, but by having a wide range, that will all balance itself out. There certainly won't be any subject in which you're always learning from a textbook, or another subject in which you're always discussing things and you're always engaging in kinesthetic learning. There'll be a balance. And what we want to do there is we want to allow students to thrive and do incredibly well in the areas that they're strong in, but also be challenged actually. And you might find discussion to be really, really difficult. Okay, fine, we get that. That's not your preferred learning style. We're going to help you get better at it. And it might never be your favourite learning style, but we're going to challenge you until it becomes something that you can do really, really well. So we don't formally assess, we don't want to pigeonhole students as being a particular type of learner. We give them a wide range of opportunities. We encourage them to reflect upon their own learning style and to own the learning process and fully understand the learning process.
And I think that's really important, because as people go through life, they're going to have to adapt and learn in all different ways and react with different sort of people and situations as well, and that's the big thing that we try to prepare them for. And I suppose to be able to do that, you need that confidence, the focus, commitment and self-belief. So Susan, how do you think we go about encouraging that in children?
Okay, so in terms of focus, I think the first thing we do is grab their attention. So I think we're really committed to being enthusiastic about education and enthusiastic about our young people, and I think that they pick that up. I also think from the get-go we're really clear about having appropriately high expectations for them, and I think that does focus the mind, because if you've got to work hard to do well, it's good to have that challenge, and in our experience children rise brilliantly to that challenge. In terms of commitment, we do have those high expectations and we support them, and we make sure that they stick at things. Not everything is for everybody, but we want people to try things out and stick to them even when they get tough. We will put the support in there, but life is tricky sometimes, and it's about having those manageable difficulties that you overcome and then show yourself how strong you are, and how resilient you can be. And then the last thing is self-belief. I think we are really good. I'd like to think we're really good at showing we have boundless sense of belief for our young people, and I think that rubs off. I think it's tangible. I think they can feel it, and I think they respond to it. I think we also work really hard to insist that there's an expectation of kindness and acceptance. So when they try things out, they know they will be celebrated for trying them. And the last thing I would say is that we create opportunities. Nick's already alluded to the co-curricular profile of the school and the opportunities, but there are so many opportunities to either lead yourself or lead others, and in that sense we give them those fantastic challenges to prove how brilliant they are.
Okay, fantastic. Going to a different area now. I think probably when we were all at school, the only issue we had with telephones was whether or not we had 5 or 10p in our pocket to be able to pay for the school payphone if we need to ring home. Obviously we're in a very different era and age now though, and lots of parents anxious about how schools approach the issue of mobile phones. So Susan, could you say a little bit about that and what happens with mobile phones here?
So we try and strike a balance. We try and give the pupils some responsibility that we feel is age appropriate, without banning phones, but we're also very clear that there's a time and a place for technology in their lives. So for pupils in years 7 to 11, at 8:45 every morning they hand in their phones to their form tutor. They don't have them at lunchtimes because we think they should be busy in their actual world, and if they're using technology it will be part of a group in a club. They have their phones returned to them every afternoon at PM registration, and that means they do have the afternoon with their phone, but they are expected to be responsible for those. We don't expect to see them, and they have to be switched off. Sixth form is slightly different. Our pupils are allowed to have their phones about their person, but again we don't expect them to see them around site, but they can use them as appropriate in the sixth form block. So as I said at the beginning, it's really about that balance of not outright banning them, because how are they going to learn to manage them, but also saying, you know, there is a time and a place and we feel we're best to judge that.
Okay, that's great, thank you. A question I know a lot of parents are keen to know the answer to. Obviously, given the current situation, there are restrictions on large groups of people congregating in one place. So given that's the case, how will we go about managing the entrance exam in January of this year? That's a really, really good question. The truth is that at the moment we are in discussions with other independent schools in the Northwest to look at different arrangements that we may be able to put in place. We hope that we're able to manage it in person, live, albeit managed in a slightly different way than we would run it normally. But what we will do is early in November we will publish via our website what our arrangements will be for the entrance exam in January, so everybody's fully aware of what it will look like for the start of the new year. I'm going to move back to you, Nick, actually. A question that came in and asked, are pupils at CHS streamed from year 7?
Yeah, I realise this is probably a pretty fundamental question for a lot of people, and it's a basic decision that schools have to make about whether we do that. So we don't stream, not in year 7, but not in any year. So we don't put the whole cohort and move them by academic ability. We don't think that's necessary at the school because there's not as big a gap between the pupils here, but what we do actually in one department in maths is we set formally from year 8, and really that's down to the expertise of that department, where they believe they can get our pupils to fulfil their potential better by setting them, and in other departments we don't really believe that's the case. And I think there's something to be said for departments leading on that and having a strong view about whether they need to set pupils, but streaming isn't something that we do, or I don't think would consider at this point either.
No, I think that's a really important point to make, as we've said that we are a selective school, students pass an entrance exam, to come here in the first instance. And I think what we like to do with a school such as this is provide opportunities for students to aspire and grow and develop and fulfil their potential, rather than simply being placed into a particular stream and said actually your likely achievement is capped because of the particular stream that you're in. I think that's a really important thing that we do here.
And it goes back to the first question a little bit, doesn't it, about the public exams, which actually we believe that actually the students here can achieve in all respects.
Yeah. I'll pick this one up. Again, the question came in and was written, how do you differentiate between state school children and prep or privately educated school children with regard to the entrance exams? And I think it's a really good question that people ask every year, because we attract pupils from well over 70 schools each year, and they're all very, very different. Some will be from an all-through school such as this, some from a prep school. Many are from state primary schools from around South Manchester and from Cheshire. What's really important for us is that we find the right child who's got the right fit for this school, and that's why our admissions process isn't simply about the entrance exam itself, because we know that children have got different levels of preparation. Some will have had no preparation whatsoever, others may have had a lot of preparation for it. So in order to really find out who's the best fit for this school, we obviously interview very many of the children and their families who sit the entrance exam. That's a really important part of the interview process for us, because we can really get to the heart of what families are looking for and to really explore what the children are capable of doing as well. Sometimes that isn't always represented in the entrance exam itself. Of course, we also get references from the primary schools as well, which can be really helpful in providing those sort of critical details about a child that may not otherwise be apparent. I'm going to go to a slightly different area, and Lee, and I'll come to you actually, that as a school we do talk a lot about the importance of breadth of education, but actually how do we go about providing that in practice?
Okay, we start by giving all of our year 7 and 8 pupils a good range of subjects. We do 17 subjects in year 7 and 8. There's a core curriculum, the usual subjects you expect to be in there: maths, English, sciences and non-languages, but we also give students experience in all the art subjects, the main art subjects, and the humanities, in things like classics as well. So there's that very, very broad base that everyone does from 7 and 8. And then from 8 to 9, and then again from 9 to 10, students, we introduce more subjects, but students start to make choices and start to refine the subjects that they would like to do, and they choose. The standard is for them to do 9 GCSEs out of the 25 that we offer. So there's lots of choice there. Some of those are compulsory, so we have a core curriculum. Every student does maths, they do English language, English literature, they do some science, they do some modern foreign language. But beyond that, they can choose how many languages they do, they can choose how much science they do, they can choose how many art subjects or humanities subjects they might wish to take part in. And it's that combination of having a kind of compulsory core to make sure everyone's got a balance, but at the same time then allowing a huge amount of choice. And by the time we get to the 6th form, we've got 30 courses to choose from, of which the students choose only 3 or 4. So there's a very, very wide range of choice there. And the other thing worth mentioning, I've mentioned it before, is that the way we design the timetable is we build the timetable around what the students want to do. So while our schools will have these, you've got to choose one from here and one from there in these blocks, we ask the students what they want to do, and then we design the timetable around that as well. So we make sure that we provide what the students want in a combination. So you'll very rarely ever we can't make that work. No, sorry, no, we'll make it work. That's the kind of school we are.
And I think that again, that's really important for a lot of parents and people's thinking about this, about the curriculum they'll follow. They've got enough choice, they're able to follow their particular interest there, and obviously alongside that, the range of co-curricular activities and the great pastoral care. All of that, I think, goes into the mix to provide that breadth of education. I'm going to ask the panel now a pretty tricky question, I think. I'm going to come to each of them in turn. If you were to describe or explain why CHS is so special in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? I've got my 3. I'm going to come to the end, and hopefully nobody's got the same 3. Lee, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, my 3 are family, individuality and challenge.
Okay, Nick?
I am going for community, dynamic and unique.
Okay, Susan?
Heritage, warmth and values.
That's interesting approach there. The three I went for, probably quite similar to what you've heard already, inclusive, innovative and individuals. Hopefully that gives you something to ponder on and think about as well at the centre of the school. Okay, I'll pick the next one, probably the next two actually. This is a really, really good question. I think it's fundamental to a process that many parents are going through at the moment. There are lots of very good schools in this area. Why should I pay? And I think that's incredibly relevant at the moment, given I suppose particular circumstances that families are going through. Why should I pay? I think first and foremost you could relate this to child's progress academically, and the research that's been done at Durham University that has indicated that children are more likely to make 2 grades progress at GCSE having been to an independent school. But that of course isn't everything. Because I think, and I said this on Saturday, that one of the things that we're really proud of is that we've got a really keen consideration of the sort of young people we wish to produce at the end of their journey here. And actually, the quality of staff that we have here, highly educated, highly motivated, highly energetic and enthusiastic staff, are critical in helping those children on their journey. I would also say that our sites and our facilities, as wonderful as they aren't just important aesthetically, but they're also important because they allow us to provide those opportunities outside of the curriculum as well as inside the curriculum that perhaps aren't always available in every single school, sadly. So whether it is our drama studios, our Holden Hall, where we put fantastic productions on, like Cabaret, like Les Miserables in recent years, our music studio as well, the fact we have access to the Royal Northern College of Music 3 times a year, our 4G pitch, our AstroTurf, huge number of grass pitches that we have on, our fantastic pavilion and gym. All of those, I think, allow us to provide that fantastic and very broad-based co-curricular programme, which I think is essential to an outstanding education. And of course, I started by saying we're in a wonderful new sixth form centre here, which is designed specifically for the educational needs of our students. So whilst here we're downstairs in a more casual, relaxed area, upstairs we've got a dedicated work area with learning hubs where our students can get together in small groups or with their teachers to teach themselves or to discuss ideas. All those valuable skills we're providing for university. And I think what I'd probably say finally is it's about class size as well. Because what we've made a big effort to do here is to keep class sizes to a manageable number. So classes are no larger than 24 in year 7. Exceptionally, they may go up to 25, but we like to keep it to 24. At A level, class sizes are no more than 14 or 15 as well. And we think this is really important because it allows the teacher to really get to know the child, to understand their needs and to support them and stretch them and develop them as is appropriate. Because fundamentally, what's education about? It's about people and about teachers knowing young people to help them grow whilst they're at the school. So yeah, it's a big choice for you to make, to pay for an education, but we genuinely believe it's worth it. And hopefully for the reasons I've articulated, so will you. Another one from me that came in about what are the priorities for the future of Cheadle Hulme School. During the course of my first year as head here, we spent a really productive year thinking about what our new 5-year plan should be. This is important because I think it demonstrates not only what we think are our priorities, but also that as a school we're highly strategic in our approach to education and school life. This is available on the CHS website. However, of course, having gone through such a dramatic period during lockdown, we are having to look again at what are the lessons of lockdown for the school going forward. Not that we wish to completely rip up our strategic plan, because fundamentally we believe that's going to put us in a really good place over the course of the next 5 years. However, we know that there'll be ways in which we can learn from that experience, whether it's because of the impact of the fantastic remote learning that took place, where our students were taught live by their teachers, lesson by lesson, during the entirety of that summer term. That surely is going to have an impact on learning going forward. Whether it's more broadly to do with our tech infrastructure, how we interact as a community, the lessons for our pastoral system, all of these things we need to take into account. as we think again about the direction of the school over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. But to reiterate, what is on the website in terms of our 5-year plan is not going to change fundamentally, but we are going to look again at the lessons from lockdown. In the short term, I think what would be of real interest to you is that we're going through a process this year of completely reviewing our lower school curriculum, so for the Year 7s and Year 8s, to make sure that we've got curriculum which is robust and dynamic and fit for purpose and really prepares our young people for their journey throughout their time at CHS. Alongside that, we're also developing our own lower school innovative diploma. As I said earlier, that it's important we have a very broad education here, but it's really important that broad education is delivered for everybody and everybody can access that. So we're developing this diploma alongside the lower school curriculum so that all students will be expected to carry out independent research, community action, take part in the co-curricular programme, and again in our innovative CHS-based Waconian programme. Because by putting all this together, we think we can create those genuine Waconians who will flourish at school and beyond. Nick, you've been here several years, teaching history and politics. What would you say that you most enjoy about teaching at school?
I think, if you allow me 3 things, I think there's 3 things that I enjoy the most. The first is the site, actually. It's the place that we're in, and it's a pity, obviously, doing this remotely. We can't quite get that across this evening. But walking in here and through past the Sixth Form Centre towards the school's main building in the morning is just magnificent. And I still, 15 years in, have to think, well, I work here. I can't quite believe I work here. And I still have that 15 years in, and that probably won't disappear at all. And the site is incredible, and it feels fantastic to be here. The second is, I suppose, predictably the pupils. But what I mean by that is I love my subjects. I will never be bored by history and politics. And I'm in an environment where the pupils will buy into that, and you can go with them. And you know, when we were in remote learning during lockdown in the summer term, you know, we had for the Year 11s and the 13s, they didn't have their public examinations. So we put on 2 programmes for them, for the upper sixth, a beyond CHS programme for their next stage, for university or the workplace, and for the Year 11s, a transition to sixth form that I mentioned earlier. Now, because effectively some of those students had left, it wasn't a compulsory programme. We couldn't force the students to do that. We couldn't put them in detention if they didn't turn up. But the students turned up. And we ended up in May and June having these wonderful Google Meets with these interested pupils who wanted to talk about some of the big issues that we'd studied, and it was just tremendous. And it meant that we went into the summer in a very difficult environment, actually feeling really good about ourselves and about the pupils that we've got. And then the third thing is actually, so my previous role was head of sixth form, so I got to see the students at the other end, at the end of this process. And it's the people that leave us, and thinking at those leavers meals and the graduation ceremonies that we've got, looking at the people around us and just thinking, well, do you know what, the values, the skills that they're taking away, each person in this room is going to move the world in a slightly better direction. They may not change it completely, but they're all going to move the dial in the right direction, all of them. And that's incredible, and I think that's what I love most about being here.
Yeah, that's a wonderful note to finish that on. Thank you. I mean, you talked there about students when they leave here. If we kind of go to the other end, Susan, how do we help students manage that transition from Year 6 into Year 7, particularly where we will have students who may be the only child coming from their primary school into CHS and may be slightly anxious about starting here?
I think it's a big deal for all of them, actually, but yes, I would say for that primary school child who doesn't know anybody else, it's an even bigger deal potentially. So this could be a really long answer, but in short, loads. We recognise it's a big deal. I am the Deputy Head Pupil Welfare, but I was for 13 years, I think, head of lower school, so I was responsible for that transition. And it was incredible, you said about the people they become. It is incredible when you see those little buttons come in who look a little bit nervous, and then these incredible people that they turn into. It's awesome, but it's a gentle, steady journey to give them that confidence. And for those primary children, most of the children that come to Cheadle Hulme School in Year 7 come from a primary school, they don't come from the junior school, and a good number of them, it's not uncommon to be the only person coming from their primary school. So to answer the question, what do we do, how do we do it? 3 things. It's the relationship with the primary school. So we would particularly target those children who are the only children coming from a primary school, and we'll go and visit them. We'll also take real care with the transfer of information, so we'll talk to their Year 6 teachers and the leaders within that school to know and understand what makes that young person tick. Then we have an induction, which I think is really important for both the pupils and the parents to start to adjust to a new environment. You don't know us, we don't know you, and we want to assure you and make you all feel safe and comfortable, because we know that's how your children will thrive. Parents are invited in for events with their children, and then when we feel their children are more comfortable, we get them in for shorter events on their own. And this all happens before day 1 in September. So we have events before the summer and then after summer, and then when term starts proper, we give our younger pupils a bit of latitude. I think one of their biggest worries is they're going to get lost or they're going to get told off for being late. We don't do it. We really look after them, and our older pupils are really, really kind with them as well. And for our younger pupils, what I think they pick up on is the specialist care and attention. So we have a dedicated lower school team. We have their form tutors who are their first port of call in the morning and see them in the afternoon. We have a culture of vigilance. We know if we pick up on the little things, that helps our young people thrive. And we also don't underestimate them. So if they're running with it, as most of them are, and revelling in it, we let them do that. But we do keep an eye, and we feel that early intervention is best. And we assure you, and our commitment to you as parents is that if we're concerned, we'll get in touch sooner rather than later. Because we know if we talk to you about the little things, then their journey is going to be so much more fun.
Thank you. Lee, I'm going to come to you with the final question of the evening. And I think in many ways it's a key question for parents at this stage who are deciding where their child is going to spend the next 5, possibly 7 years. So, what will a child be like after 7 years at CHS?
I mean, the short answer to that question is to say, well, look at the Waconian values, you know, compassion, resilience, endeavour, integrity, contribution. We expect our students to live and breathe those values, and the more so particularly as they move through the school. And they do, and they're not abstract things at all. And I remember when we sought to codify those values some years ago, one of the things we did is we spoke to the sixth form, and we got the sixth form to say what do they think are the important things, and what does being a sixth former at CHS embody. And those were the things they came up with, you know. So and actually when I see the sixth formers day in, day out, particularly when I see them touring around and showing people around the site, when we have visitors, I'm incredibly proud of them. And Nick's waxed lyrical about how fantastic they were in the summer. And, you know, I've just taken over an upper sixth group a few weeks ago, not met them, any of them before, didn't know any of them, and what a fantastic group. They've come back, desperate to come back to school, so happy to be back in school, so keen to learn, just lovely young people, all of them. So you know, let me expand on that maybe a little bit. What kind of things are we talking about then? We're talking about young people who are socially confident, but not overly confident, having a big degree of humility, knowing where they fit in the world. They are students who are academically successful, but once again, not arrogant about it. They're inquisitive. They've got the idea that there's still so much to learn. This is their only pathway along on the journey. They are students who are multidimensional. They have something more to them than just being academically successful. They're doing something in the arts. They're doing something in sport. They're doing something charitable. They've got something else going on in their lives. They're contributing to society and being a part of it. They're students who have a sense of values, and not just those Waconian values, but their own values, and they take on their own. Several of us use that word individuality or something like that. Developing into individuals. One of the great things I love about this school is you can be who you want to be, and you know we don't have a mould here where we say this is what a great Waconian looks like, other than you know those things I've just said there. But within that, there's a huge range of different types of people and interests and the kind of individual you want to be. Fundamentally, lastly, and I'll shut up because it's a long answer, they are ready for the world. They are ready for the challenges that will be thrown at them at university, by employers, and all the life will chuck at them over the years. that's what they will be.
I think that's a great answer. I think it's something we've talked about a lot previously, about preparing young people for a world which is going to be changing, it's going to be challenging, and actually to succeed they'll need to be creative and resilient, and yeah, absolutely, and demonstrate those skills which hopefully they'll acquire during their time here at the school. So thank you very much everyone for your fantastic responses. I think also thank you to you for the great and very challenging questions that you've sent in to us, and hopefully you've got a really good sense of what it is like to be a Waconian. And all that's left for me to say is I hope you've really enjoyed this week, the virtual open week that we've put on, and again you've been able to find out all you wanted to do about the school. And I really hope that if you've not done so already, that you book a tour to come and see us on site and to meet us in person as well. Thanks very much and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.